It's a markedly different looking day here at Suzuka. It is the Sunday of the Japanese overnight. The heavens have opened, the circuit looking markedly more treacherous than it did less than 24 hours ago when we opened the Ferrari Challenge Japan 2025 season. We also welcomed the Ferrari 296 Challenge car onto the Asian continent for the first time in racing conditions, and it was a thrilling motor race, to say the very least of it. And it was a race that was won overall by Miki Koyama. She had a fabulous performance. Even a late safety car could not stop the dominance of Koyama in the sunshine yesterday here at Suzuka. Kanji Yagura was the winner in Trofeo Pirelli Am yesterday. Phil Kim with an overall top 5 in addition to the Copa Shell victory in the first race of the season. And Norikazu Shibata well within the top 10 himself, winning the Copa Shell Am category out there on the circuit on Saturday, and the Trofeo Pirelli and Pirelli Am podiums getting the true honour of standing on the podium here at the Suzuka International Circuit. Of course, the traditional home of the Japanese Grand Prix. Perhaps one could argue alongside Fuji Motor Speedway. We will be at both Fuji and Suzuka this year. Just one trip to Suzuka this season, 2 trips later on in the year to the Fuji International Speedway. 2 consecutive trips actually in the middle of our calendar this year. But for now, the attention of the drivers is going to be firmly on the task at hand. As you can see, 3 lights on the gantry means about 3 minutes before we get this grid rolling. And the conditions out there on the circuit are more than a little bit challenging. This Ferrari 296 Challenge car delivering just shy of 700 horsepower. The cars are very well balanced and are a very potent tool, but a tool that can be forgiving. However, in these wet conditions, the drivers, I think, are going to have to really test their limits, test their mettle, especially around a circuit with as little room for error as Suzuka. 29 cars are set to take the start here in Ferrari Challenge Japan. And it is Miki Koyama who will again start from pole position. Koyama, who won yesterday's race from lights to flag. No one else was able to put in a bid for that race lead on Saturday. Anna Inotsume, meanwhile, fell to 7th place in the early stages of yesterday's race. And she managed to work her way back up to 3rd position. And on the very last lap of the race, as a matter of fact, moving up into 3rd place with a spectacular side-by-side jousting match with Nobuhiro Imada into 130R. And it did prove to be Inotsume who came out on top of that. You can see there Imada's on the 4th row here. He'll be starting from slightly further back this time around. A slightly different grid again for this race, of course. 2 qualifying sessions held on Friday, but the front row remains the same as yesterday. But of course, for Anna Inotsume, it is imperative that her race goes better, or her start to the race goes better than it did on Saturday. She'll once again have the outside of the front row. Yesterday she managed to lose 5 spots before making it to the first corner. And she will not want a repeat of that. Inotsume, a driver with plentiful be that in touring cars or GTs. It is a very experienced front row of the grid. Here is the grid. Koyama, Inotsume, Umatsu and Isosaki. Phil Kim in 5th position. Watch out for him. Yamatatsu in 6th. Norikazu Shibata in 7th. Nobuhiro Imada will be one to watch as well from 8th on the grid. Not where he'd want to be starting. Kanji Yagura in 9th position. Cold Max is in 10th position. Ryotaro Saito will be one to watch too from 11th. Yaneda, Shimoyama, Hiwatashi, Katayama and Hirota bringing us down to 16th ahead of the returning Alex Fox. First time in Ferrari Challenge since 2022. Fukui, Komatsu and Che listed for this race. Of course, we did see a bit of a smash yesterday for one of our drivers. I think that car was beyond repair, the 139, unfortunately. That means that we will not see, the 138 I should say, Masahiro Otsuka had a moment down at the hairpin. But still a hugely strong starting grid. And as with yesterday's race, one of the big stories to consider is the driver at the very back of the field. As we saw yesterday, the graduate from Copa-Shell from last year, moving up the field. We've got, of course, a Copa-Shell driver in Phil Kim, well up the order for this race. Who will prove to be a wet weather specialist in these conditions. This is weather the drivers have not faced so far this weekend. The weather has been good to us so far today. So far this weekend, but Sunday morning, maybe not quite so friendly. Doesn't stop the mechanics, though, from dutifully standing on the pit wall. They have drivers to cheer on. As you can see, the wipers are on. The drivers will be laser focused on the task at hand. The 88 car of Miki Koyama at the front of the field. I mentioned a driver at the back to watch out for. That'll be Yasutaka Shirasaki. Keep an eye on him. We're about to go racing here at Suzuka. Now, given the conditions, we do sometimes end up with 2 formation laps in this weather. Don't believe there's been a bulletin to confirm that, but as we can see, the yellow lights are on, and I believe the clock will start as they cross the line this time by. And they will do an additional lap under safety car conditions. To my reckoning, the race is now, officially speaking, underway. Timing and scoring suggesting it is just a secondary formation lap. We'll wait and see what the ruling is there. Of course, being the Japanese Grand Prix Sunday, the schedule is fairly tightly wound here at Suzuka this morning. So they have managed to negotiate us an extra formation lap. See some of the protagonists out there on the circuit. Now, interestingly, the clock has already started ticking on the race. In fact, the clock is at under 25 minutes. Now, the race was scheduled for 30 minutes plus 1 lap, which would suggest to me that the clock was ticking on the first formation lap as well, or perhaps the race distance was reduced to 25 minutes. Either way, a slightly reduced race distance here then. go racing this time by. I suspect we'll have somewhere around 22 minutes of racing, plus 1 lap on the end. There's Motohiko Isozaki in his ever distinctive green machine. Isozaki, who in the 2000s at Macau was a teammate to one Kamui Kobayashi, who of course really set the world alight at the Japanese Grand Prix at Suzuka many years ago. And Isozaki would love to do much the same here today. There's the driver who turned heads yesterday, though. Our winner from Saturday at the front of the field, Miki Koyama. She put in a very controlled drive. It was rather reminiscent of our champion from last year, Yudai Uchida. And if you didn't join us yesterday, no Uchida on the grid this year. The driver who has won every Ferrari Challenge Japan season so far is instead a very, very reputable driver coach. And he will be coaching Yuliang Chen in the 193 car. Chinese driver with a very good, experienced set of ears to help him. Now the safety car lights are still on. Does that mean we're doing another lap under safety car? It typically does, and it doesn't look like the safety car is peeling in. No, so they continue on behind the safety car for now. Of course, it's of the utmost importance that everyone is, pardon the pun, up to speed. And that's not so much in terms of figuring out how to be fast in certain weather conditions. Of course, it's about being fast and safe, making sure they know where the standing water is, making sure that everybody, in the case of this Ferrari 296 Challenge car, as advanced as it is, to make sure they've got the traction control map and diff and everything exactly where it needs to be, to give them the best chance of keeping the car in the right direction in these very difficult conditions. Of course, the 296 Challenge car will be a brand new commodity to a lot of drivers on this grid. Some, of course, in the Copa Shell-Am category have simply not raced in Ferrari Challenge before, full stop. But even the drivers that were with us last year, of course, were racing the 488 Challenge Evo. The 296 Challenge car debuting last year in Europe, in North America, as the pit crews continue to entertain down in the garages. The 296 Challenge car, quite a different machine. One of the big differences between the 296 and the 488, quite apart from the fact that, of course, the 296 is a 2.9-litre V6 as opposed to the turbo V8 that we had in the 488. But one of the bigger differences I've heard from inside the cockpit is the braking system on this car, brake-by-wire system. And it is a very responsive brake pedal. You don't need to put quite so much pressure into it in order to get the car to really get the anchors on. It is, of course, advantageous. It's an adjustment period that's needed when you have a switch of car. And certainly, this will be a big test of the drivers and how they have adjusted to the 296 Challenge. Motohiko Isozaki is one of the drivers who has already done a full season in the 296 Challenge car. He was out last year in Ferrari Challenge Europe in the 296. So he has a distinct advantage in that regard in terms of mileage in the car. Yesterday, unfortunately, he didn't particularly capitalise on that. He was there on the second row on Saturday as well, but he ended up finishing outside the top 10. Unfortunately, Suzuka not having the race that he would have envisioned. He'll be looking to make good on that today. A win on the board coming out to Suzuka will do his Trofeo Pirelli AM hopes a lot of good. As you can see, the field is stacking up behind Koyama. It looks like we will go racing this time then. The red banners on the likes of the 88 car, those are the Trofeo Pirellis. The white banners, Trofeo Pirelli AM. Copa Shell cars have a yellow windscreen banner, and Pirelli AM cars have a black windscreen banner. It's all Trofeo Pirelli cars at the front. The Trofeo Pirelli category is where the fastest drivers are categorized. Koyama will be the driver that dictates the moment we go back to full speed. Of course, they can't overtake before they go across the start-finish line. Anna Inotsume is certainly keen to get the hammer down. Koyama is really holding the field, testing everyone's patience behind her. She's going to wait for the perfect moment, and she... That was a very well managed start for Koyama. She leads then into the first corner. We are underway. We're at full speed at Suzuka in these treacherous conditions. The Ferrari Challenge Japan with their second race of the season. Anna Inotsume with her best opportunity to capitalise on her qualifying pace. This time she remains in second place through the opening corners. Everybody being careful. You can hear on the throttle the drivers modulating, wanting to avoid being too happy on the traction. Of course, the tyres won't be fully up to temperature underneath them just yet either. But it's Koyama from Inotsume. In third place, it's one of the veterans of the sport who joins us in Ferrari Challenge for the first time this season in the form of Tadao Uematsu. Racing GT cars for length of any F1 driver's career, certainly. Isosaki behind him with a similarly long CV in motor racing. But Isosaki took more breaks. Nobuhiro Imada is slowing on the very first lap of the green flag action. Imada, who was just shy of a podium yesterday. And look at this. This is a move for second position. I think Inotsume may have had a moment somewhere around Spoon, because she's dropped off the rear of Koyama in the race lead, and Uematsu now is challenging the gold car. Oh, and Inotsume there just getting a wiggle on under braking. Of course, the moment your car starts to slide, that affects how quickly it's slowing down for the apex. It looks quite spectacular. It's certainly not efficient to be fighting the rear under braking. Koyama, Inotsume, Uematsu, your top three. Isosaki in fourth position. It's Yamatatsu in fifth. Phil Kim in sixth position. Kim is leading among the Copa Shell drivers. And just behind him is the 181 of Norikazu Shibata, who for the second race in a row is right up there in the overall top 10. There is Shibata in seventh position. The yellow highlights make that car very easy to pick out. He's just ahead of Kanji Yagura. Yagura, who running well himself. Yagura is the one with the yellow highlights. Just ahead of him is Shibata. Shibata's livery not quite as day-glow as Kanji Yagura behind. So Shibata's in the predominantly white car, just ahead of Kanji Yagura's yellow and grey machine. That's Phil Kim just taking the defensive line there through the chicane. He's just ahead of Shibata, then it's Yagura. Coldmax is in 9th position in the 15 car. Masaru Yaneda rounds out her overall top 10 for the time being. You can see the amount of spray these cars are kicking up into the air. It's certainly a visibility challenge for some out there on the circuit. It's a traction challenge out of each and every corner for good measure. Nobuhiro Imada has got the car back to the pit lane. He'll be hoping to get back out there to, of course, try and score some points in Trofeo Pirelli. So long as he reaches the flag within a reasonable number of laps, he would still score decent points within Trofeo Pirelli. So he and the team will be working to get the car back out there. The iconic Suzuka Ferris wheel in the background there. Fans lining the grandstands for this first racing action of Sunday on the Japanese Grand Prix weekend. The distinct honour of opening the day's proceedings here. Unfortunately, though, I don't think Nobuhiro Imada will go much further. There's Kanji Yagura on the back of Norikazu Shibata. And for Yagura, it's a tricky situation. He wants to try and pursue the likes of Isosaki and Yamatatsu up ahead in 4th and 5th. They're both Trofeo Pirelli drivers. Yagura currently sits 3rd in Trofeo Pirelli, just ahead of Coldmax, who's right on his rear bumper. But ahead of Yagura is a Copa Shell Am driver and a Copa Shell driver, so two competitors that he's not in direct points competition with. He's still got to find a way past them, though. He closed up quite a lot on Norikazu Shibata through the apex of the hairpin. He's looking lively as they run towards Spoon. Not close enough for a move at Spoon, but could set himself up well if he gets a good run onto the backstretch here. We've seen that moves at 130R are possible, and that is a very nice run from Yagura. He has set that up very nicely indeed. You can see on the time delta at the bottom of screen just how much time he gained there on the power coming out of Spoon. He has a look to the inside, but Shibata holds on for the time being. If Yagura can get he can get himself cleanly past Shibata, that will be really beneficial to his race. Anna Inotsume with the fastest lap of the race. Anna Inotsume with the fastest lap of the race last time by. Now that is something to keep an eye on. The deltas between Koyama and Inotsume, 2.5 seconds, and it is going down sector on sector. Looks like we've got some battling going on here with Coldmax and Yaneda as well. Yaneda in 10th position. Shibata being Careful there coming out of the second Degner. Of course, they have slightly reprofiled the exit of Degner. Well, perhaps not reprofiled, but they have gotten rid of some of the AstroTurf and runoff that was there before. There's more gravel than there was previously on the exit of the Degner. Meanwhile, this is Yasutaka Shirasaki trying to get himself through the order. Getting past John Leo there for what I think was 23rd at the time. Shirasaki now up to 22nd, maybe struggling a little bit more to move up the field in these conditions. There's Koyama at the front. She's managing the race right now. The gap has stayed about where it was. It's around that 2.5 second margin. She will have had the information fed to her, no doubt, that Inotsume has the fastest lap of the race. If she can maintain that cushion of a couple of seconds, she'll be safe. Uematsu there, peeling away to try and find some more wet patches to keep those tyres in the optimal temperature window. Quite easy to overheat a set of wets. There's quite the scrum of cars, isn't there, now behind Yagura. Yagura is now past Shibata. Shibata now under pressure from Coldmax. They're side by side. Coldmax on the outside. Oh, and surely he's not going to make that work. He does! Coldmax at turn 3. The start of the S's braved the very outer extremities of the racing line. Well, not the racing line, the racing surface. And he made it work, the karting line. Coldmax has been studying. He's known to be one of the braver drivers on the circuit at any given weekend. So it has proven to be. Norikazu Shibata still leading in Copa Chelam, but he is losing overall positions. He's now down to 9th place, and he has to be wary of Ryotaro Saito, who is the second car behind him. The car immediately behind him is Masaru Yaneda in Copa Shell. And then just behind is Ryotaro Saito, who could challenge Shibata for this Copa Chelam lead. Let's get a replay though. This is Yagura getting himself past Shibata. Yagura just had so much more confidence on the throttle there. Coldmax then also exhibiting confidence. I've never seen him move around the outside at this corner before. But Coldmax found a way. I suspect he will want a cold beverage after that. Oh, and the 139 car in a spin. We did see a similar incident yesterday, of course. Quite easy to lose the rear end under braking there going into the hairpin, given you have to navigate a quick right-hander beforehand. It's an easy mistake to make, and Alex Fox thankfully kept the car mostly out of the barriers. Ryotaro Saito has gotten himself past Yaneda by the looks of it. In fact, no, Yaneda has gotten past Shibata. So Shibata's down to 10th position. And now we see the lead battle in Copa Chelam. They've been joined there by the the red and white machine. That is Masafumi Hiwatashi. No, sorry, that's the 128 of Tsutomu Shimoyama. In 12th position there, the red and white car of Shimoyama, Kornesh Shiba. Now, he's chasing Saito for 11th place, but more importantly for the Copa Chelam running, Saito is chasing Shibata. Shibata, who has dropped down from 6th overall in the early stages, is now having to fight for that lead in the Copa Chelam category. The two black banners on those cars denoting their entries into Copa Chelam for the drivers with lesser experience both inside and outside of Ferrari Challenge competition. Meanwhile, Yasutaka Shirasaki continues to make his way through the order. A couple more battle scars on the car since we last saw it, but he is up into the top 20 now, up to 18th place. And there's the remnants of Alex Fox's moment. A little brush out. Yagura on the back of Phil Kim. So this is a battle for 6th position overall. Now Phil Kim leads Copa Shell. Yagura is 3rd currently in Trofeo Pirelli AM. So they're not adversaries in the sense of category. Are fighting for overall position. Miki Koyama last time by, fastest lap of the race. Here is that all-important Copa Shell AM battle. Shibata and Saito. With company from Shimoyama in 12th position. It's Koyama from Inotsume, from Uematsu, your top 3. They are all within the Trofeo Pirelli class. Koyama leading once again here in Ferrari Challenge Japan at Suzuka. Isosaki is your Trofeo Pirelli AM leader in 4th place. Yamatatsu is 2nd in that category and 5th overall. Phil Kim leads Copa Shell. But who will be leading Copa Shell AM as they go side by side? Saito has the inside and moves into the Copa Shell AM lead. Another authoritative move in the S's. We're seeing lots of side-by-side action in the S's. A few different ways to tackle it in these wet conditions. Ryotaro Saito has moved up into the overall top 10. He's also moved into the Copa Shell AM lead. Looks like Shibata hasn't quite got the confidence in these wet conditions. He was 3rd in last year's Copa Shell AM Championship in Ferrari Challenge Japan. He did not claim a race win last season. Good opportunity beckoned here, but it looks like the pace isn't quite with him to challenge Ryotaro Saito in what little distance remains of this race. Saito has left him in the dust. Meanwhile, Shimoyama is now challenging Shibata. Kanji Yagura there, running wide at 130R. That's not normally biggest of issues, just run slightly wide onto that painted curb, but in these conditions, that green paint is not your friend. A minute and 20 to go as the leaders have already crossed the line. We should now be on the penultimate lap of the race. Cars coming across the line. Just saw that Nobuhiro Imada looks to be heading back out onto the circuit. There is Koyama in the race lead. 30 seconds left on the clock. This is the penultimate lap of the race. So long as we get the +1 lap, which is scheduled. Oh, the 181 car, Norikazu Shibata, with a puncture by the looks of it. And what a shame for Shibata. Shibata, who ran in the lead of the Copa Shell AM class for so much of the race, is now going to have to drag that car back home with 3 tyres. Koyama leads, Inotsume runs 2nd. Inotsume set the fastest lap of the race again last time by. The gap is down under 2 seconds, as you can see. I believe we should go on to one more lap of racing here. Indeed, no checkered flag this time by, so we do have the +1 lap. We are on to the final lap of the race. Looked like Koyama might have responded slightly to Inotsume's lap time last time by. Confirmation that we are indeed on the final lap of this race. Koyama and Inotsume, 1-2. These two incredibly talented and decorated female drivers made a statement in qualifying, and they're doing so again in race conditions. Track hazard yellow flags somewhere out on the circuit. Green flags they just went through there at the end of the S's, so I wonder if someone's had a moment in the S's somewhere. Koyama and Inotsume head under the bridge. Half a lap between Koyama and a clean sweep of the weekend. 2 pole positions going into Saturday. A race win yesterday. Would be a perfect debut weekend in the category if she can make it 2 visits to the podium. And what a way to grab headlines in the Japanese motorsport community by showing up into Ferrari Challenge Japan on the Japanese Grand Prix weekend, the season opener of Ferrari Challenge Japan 2025. Take a clean sweep. That's what Koyama is aiming to do. Just 130R of the triangle between herself and glory. Inotsume has certainly kept Koyama honest in this race. But the 88 car from the M Auto Italia stable comes out of the final corner, and Koyama, for the 2nd time in a row, is your race winner. Inotsume crosses the line in 2nd. In 3rd position, fairly comfortably, it should be Tadao Uematsu, rounding out the overall podium. Motohiko Isozaki will cross the line in 4th position to win in Trofeo Pirelli Am, ahead of Yamatatsu in 5th. We see them across the line, and then Phil Kim again wins in the Copa Shell category. There's Nobuhiro Imada back out on the circuit. He's just come out ahead of Yasutaka Shirasaki. This is not for position. Shirasaki goes through, and he will finish in the top 15. So Shirasaki on the recovery drive this weekend, unfortunately, with his qualifying issues. Didn't set a valid lap in either qualifying session. But all the same, the Rossa Scuderia driver has moved up through the order well in both races. It will be a solid weekend's work for Shirasaki, crossing the line in 15th overall. In the Copa Shell Am category, it was Ryotaro Saito who came home in 10th overall and won that category. With the puncture for our long-time class leader there, Shibata, it will be Hiroyuki Katayama who ends up as the runner-up in the Copa Shell Am class. Koyama continues on past the support paddock. She will park underneath the podium here at Suzuka on the main garages and celebrate for a second consecutive race a victory in Ferrari Challenge Japan. Koyama, who has got such a great record in motorsport, previously of course raced in the all-female W Series, the 2022 Formula Regional Japan champion, and has spent the last couple of years largely finding her footing in GT cars, something she has clearly done in the highest echelons of Asian motorsport. now arrives into Ferrari Challenge Japan. And will leave Suzuka with a perfect weekend in the rearview mirror. Miki Koyama pulls up to the P1 spot. The 88 car with a brilliant outing. Anna Inotsume pulls up behind in second overall. I'm sure an intense half hour at the wheel for all parties in these difficult conditions. But Koyama celebrates. Photographers document the moment. I'm sure that'll be a picture he wants to get a copy of. Victorious for the second time in as many days at the Japanese Grand Prix weekend. And what a turnaround for this man, Motohiko Isosaki. Isosaki, who's such a passionate individual. Yesterday did not go to plan, dropped positions on the run to the first corner and then made an error in the Degners that dropped him outside of the top dozen. Today, absolutely flawless. And Isosaki, who scored 2 victories last year in Ferrari Challenge Japan within the Trofeo Pirelli Am category, already has one to his name after the first of 5 rounds and after just 2 of 10 races. Koyama, I believe, was a little bit happy. Natsume, Koyama will all be delighted with how that race has gone. As I'm sure will be Tadao Uematsu, third on the overall podium. Yagura visiting the podium for the second consecutive race, of course. I believe I saw Yudai Uchida down there again as well. If his plan is to stay away for the whole season from the cockpit for Yudai Uchida, but certainly his main focus today is on coaching his protege Yuliang Chen. Miki Koyama, our race winner then. Anna Inotsume taking second position ahead of Tadao Uematsu. Isosaki wins Pirelli Am ahead of Yamatatsu. Phil Kim wins the Copa Shell class. Yagura in 7th. Cold Max in 8th place. Masaru Yaneda 9th. And Copa Shell Am winner Ryotaro Saito rounding out the overall top 10. Tsutomu Shimoyama in 11th place. Masafumi Hiwatashi in 12th. Hiroyuki Katayama 13th. Hirota 14th. Shirasaki from the rear to 15th. Fukui, Fox, Katsumata, Yuliang Chen and Shogaki round out that top 20. Chen, of course, the aforementioned student for this year of Yudai Uchida. Matsumoto, Kako, Leo, Yamaguchi, Kurakawa, Komatsu and Shibata rounding out the finishing order, while Nobuhiro Imada was out there at the end. I don't think he did enough laps to be classified, hence he's listed there as a DNF, and that will be a blow to the Rosso Scuderia driver early in the championship battle. And as we can see, the drivers in the green room. And now get a look back at the race that was on the big screen. Always fun to see the live analysis. And certainly for Koyama and Inotsume, who rather drove away. There's Motohiko Isosaki. But for those top 2 drivers, Inotsume and Koyama, this is a bit of an insight into everything that was going on behind them, because they were in their own postcode. Camaraderie is always plain to see in the Ferrari Challenge Japan paddock. One of the most respectful car cultures in the world generally, and that is reflected in our drivers here in Ferrari Challenge Japan. Racing is sometimes fierce. Very rarely could it be seen as anything other than fair. And certainly, if we're talking about fairness, a deserved performance this weekend for Miki Koyama. Koyama has been sensational in that M-Auto Italia Ferrari 296. 2 wins and 2 pole positions. Quite the way to open your 2025 account at Ferrari Challenge Japan. Of course, not the only driver to achieve that feat. Phil Kim yesterday also winning, and again today. He has swept the weekend also. Was the Copa Shell pole sitter in each race as well. So some dominant performances.
In third place, second yesterday, car number 16, with dealer name Calls Shiba Tadeo Uematsu.
We can now welcome our drivers onto the podium.
In second place,
Tadeo Uematsu climbs to the 3rd step of the podium. Anna Inotsume takes the runners-up spot today, one better, of course, than her performance on Saturday. Less overtaking to do on Saturday. And Miki Koyama is welcomed onto the podium. A brilliant performance again from Koyama. A victorious weekend.
Well done to Miki Koyama. The trophies are presented by the president of Ferrari Far and Middle East, Francesco Bianchi, who presents the 3rd place trophy first of all to Tadeo Uematsu for his 3rd place, and now to the 2nd place driver Anna Inotsume. Well done to her. And now to the winner, Miki Koyama, presented with her trophy by the president of Ferrari Far and Middle East, Francesco Bianchi. And now the Pirelli trophy will be presented to the 1st place competitor of the Pirelli class, presented by Pirelli Motorsport Director Mario Isola. Well done to Miki Koyama. If you'd all like to get together for the photograph now. Congratulations to all 3 of you. And now let's celebrate with champagne! Now we will move on to the awards for the Ferrari astronauts. Yesterday, number 51 for Suzuka, Kanji Yamura. Winner yesterday, third today, 2 podiums for Kanji Yamura. In second place today, second yesterday as well, car number 77 for Suzuka, Yamatatsu. Well done to Yamatatsu. And in first place, car number 55 for Shiba, Rodrigo Isozaki. Well done to him, and for him, the national anthem of Japan.
Motohiko Isozaki, who has tasted victory in Europe and in Asia in Ferrari Challenge. Standing on that top step, a great feeling for him. Kanji Yagura accepts the third place trophy. Second place trophy to Yamatatsu, a great weekend for him. Motohiko Isozaki had 2 wins last year, already with a victory in the bank in Trofeo Pirelli-Am. Sets himself up as a challenger for the Pirelli-Am title this year. 4th place in the standings in 2024 in that category. Isozaki will be delighted with this result today. Champagne is sprayed for the final time this weekend by our Ferrari Challenge Japan drivers. A thrilling season awaits them from here. Of course, that first stop, the Japanese Grand Prix weekend, a revered occasion for all. But now they look ahead to the rest of the calendar, to the challenges of some of the finest circuits in Japan. Expecting deluxe grids as we had in 2024 once again in the 2025 Ferrari Challenge Japan season all year long. It has been a privilege to see these drivers compete today. We'll see you again next time for more action in Ferrari Challenge Japan.